Hello all, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Sami Nikula and I work in marketing at Opus Capita. And I have the pleasure of hosting today's webinar, Future of E-Invoicing, Invoice Automation and Procurement. Before starting, let me first run through a few practicalities. The webinar duration today is 45 minutes. During the webinar, we will have a couple of polls. If you have any questions at any time, please use the chat functionality. The chat is private, so only we presenters can see your questions, and we will try to answer them at the end of the webinar, if it makes sense, in between as well. And if we can't answer all the questions, don't worry, we will include them along with the answers in the final presentation that we will then share after the webinar. The webinar is also recorded, and you will receive the link to the recording as well. But let's go forward and look at the agenda. So we will start by exploring what are the next big things with e-invoicing, invoice automation and procurement. And then we will dive into digital transformation, why companies should invest in that now. And then lastly, we will look at how the world looks like today when Capita is part of GEP. And then to presenters, I have here with me two very experienced subject matter experts. Let's welcome Paul Blake first. Hi, Paul.
Hi, good morning from where I am. Good afternoon, I guess, to everybody joining us on the webinar. It's a great pleasure to be here. My name is Paul Blake. I've been with GEP now for somewhere between 12 and 13 years. So I describe myself as part of the furniture within GEP. And I'm delighted to be here. Thanks very much, Sami and Heikki, for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. And then we have Heikki from Opus Capita. Heikki.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody, and nice to have you here, Paul. So my name is Heikki Pulli, heading sales at Opus Capita, and been here already 8 years, and been looking after e-invoicing and EDI domain since the beginning of 2000. So it's really interesting to talk about these topics, and which are really active now, and also especially it's really interesting to be here with GEP.
Very good. I leave the stage now, and the stage is yours, guys.
Thank you, Sami. So when looking at the sort of the whole market, these trends are rapidly reshaping today's financial and procurement operations. Judging all of these topics onto the podium is not easy. Next year, European companies need to start collecting their ESG reports and follow their sustainability requirements. Compliance is coming from the left and right, asking us to be compliant with e-invoicing, ESG, or, for example, NIS2. However, the speed at which automation and AI are developing right now starts to impact any size of business. The number of use cases is increasing, and the real business value is starting to be visible. Let's hear more of what Paul has to say about this topic.
Yeah, thank you, Heikki. I wanted to start by saying I'm sure everybody has heard all sorts of things about AI. Everywhere you go, every subject, every conference is talking about AI. In the same way, I guess, as a few years ago, everyone was talking about blockchain. There's always some kind of technology hype going on. There's always something coming along that is going to change everything. And it's perfectly justifiable to be slightly cynical about that. But AI is different. And what it's doing in terms of automating processes and automating workflows is really groundbreaking. And I say that not through any with any particular product in mind or any particular promotion in mind. It's just my observation is that this particular wave of technological development is different to others that I've seen over the years. And automation, especially AI-powered automation, is starting to tackle some of the biggest pain points in business. his core business area of procurement and supply chain management, we're seeing huge impact because repetitive, time-consuming tasks are the biggest pain points within most organizations. Processes such as creating purchase orders, managing invoices, managing contracts require a lot of time and effort, and that leads to delays and to errors. And automating these workflows really streamlines operations, improves accuracy, and frees teams to focus on strategic priorities. So AI is really starting to take center stage. As we see massive growth in investments in artificial intelligence, I think we can also reflect on the fact that some of these technologies have been in use for years. So it's not all new. Some of it has been well tested. Let's take spend analysis, for instance. What years ago used to take days or weeks sorting through massive amounts of data to find patterns is now done in minutes with AI. And these systems can categorize spend and spot trends and flag outliers with really remarkable precision. And that gives your teams faster, actionable insights that allows them to make better decisions. But in the last few years, with the growth specifically of what is called generative AI, we're seeing some completely new capabilities emerge. Supplier management, for example, can benefit greatly from this kind of AI-powered automation. Tasks like performance tracking, compliance checks, supplier onboarding can become much more efficient. And this only serves to strengthen supplier relationships. Continuous monitoring powered by this kind of automation also helps identify risks earlier and can minimize disruptions in supply chain and disruptions in business operations. AI is going to drive and is starting to drive restructuring in every industry, but it can be harnessed right now in a very, very positive way. AI-powered automation is already here in many different areas, and it can enhance an organization's agility and ability to act. Companies face constant changes in market conditions, in regulations, and in supplier networks, and Heikki's going to go on to talk about how that's changing in the terms of invoice compliance in just a few moments. But automated systems that send real-time alerts and can start to model scenarios and update your workflows based on new data will enable teams to stay proactive instead of reactive. And this is going to be vitally important in the years to come. As businesses grow, automation is going to ensure that procurement functions and supply chain functions and financial functions can scale smoothly. It will start to handle increasing complexity without adding workload to human beings. And that's going to allow efficiency to be maintained during expansion. Now, the funny thing about this next slide is it's a relatively recent slide, but it's already out of date. When we look at the number of organizations who are planning to implement AI-based tools, it's almost everybody. But the point to make here is that, importantly, automation doesn't have to replace people. It can, of course, and it might, depending on the particular nuances of each organization, but it can support your human workforce. By eliminating routine tasks and providing deeper insights, it will allow you to focus on what you can do best, which is managing relationships, driving value, and achieving broader goals. But not only that, it allows your teams to contemplate projects that were previously out of scope because they were just too difficult to tackle with the current level of resource that you have. So in short, I think AI-powered automation is a game changer because it permits three things. It lets you do what you should be doing now more efficiently. The second is it lets you stop what you shouldn't be doing, like comparing documents and filling in forms. And critically, it lets you start doing things that were simply previously too difficult. So I've tried to summarize that to as short a space of time as possible. But I hope you will agree with me that there are some real opportunities, some real potential moving forward if we start to adopt these technologies in the right way. Heikki, back over to you.
Good. Thanks a lot. So when it comes to AP automation, there is no single answer to get the best value out of the process. You cannot just trust the best of breed software you are buying to make the magic happen. So you need to, first of all, have rich invoice data coming into the flow. So try to maximize the e-invoice penetration with your suppliers. And then the automation process inside your company or corporate will start. And you can automate with the data, any piece of data which can be found from the rich invoices. So and AP software can easily take the automation level to 85%. And you can use PO numbers, contract ID, even car license plate numbers to make the matching happen within the invoice automation process. AI will have its own role as part of the process. AI should be used to automate posting and circulation for the non-recurring invoices that are not based on any black and white judgment. For example, with the Maverick supplier invoices. This will take you to even close to 100%, 95% of automation. Touchless process which is serving your company and creating cost savings. Good.
Thank you, Heikki. Thank you, Paul. Good insights on AI. Now it's time for our first poll, and I will launch it here. It's about how far along is your organization in adopting AI for AP automation and procurement. And the options are that you are actively already using AI, you are in a process of implementing it, you are exploring but not started yet, or then the last option that you are not currently considering that. Let's give you a bit more time to answer. You can see the answers coming in already. Five more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and we go. And here you can hopefully see the results. So 42% of you said that you are actively using already AI solutions today. Great. How would you, Paul, comment this number, 42%, based on your experience?
I think, I don't want to sound too smug about it, but it kind of validates the point that I was making, that AI is different. If we were doing this kind of poll, as I suggested earlier with blockchain, a lot of people would have said, oh yes, we're considering it, whatever, but nobody was using it because it's hard, it's complex, it's difficult. AI is very different because you can start to use it immediately. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the results are always trustworthy and that you can rely on it and you can use ChatGPT to make complex business decisions for you. But in terms of its ability to help you understand information, to help you summarize, to help you very quickly get through a lot of those unnecessary admin tasks, it really is extremely powerful. So it doesn't surprise me that nearly half of our audience are using AI solutions already. I suspect that we have a kind of self-selecting audience here already, and broadly across industry the number will be lower. But it is encouraging because I don't think, in the context of what we're talking about today, I don't think there's anything to fear from AI. In other areas perhaps, but let's not go there. But there is certainly a huge amount that can be done if applied correctly and applied appropriately to the work that we have today.
Yep, very good, very good. Let's move forward then. I believe it's Heikki, your turn next.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so why is regulatory alignment important? Managing regulation is often difficult and it takes focus away from the company's core business. This is why it is important to do this with selective partners. It is also often feels that new regulations and requirements guide the company, and the company itself doesn't think about how they could get a business value from them. Since in the end, there is a good reason to have the regulation. And I think a really good reason to have the regulation is within e-invoices. So let's look at the e-invoicing side and how the market has been evolving. So, but of course, we have been talking about e-invoicing already several years, and it has been widely used, for example, in the Nordic market. But currently, invoicing market is rapidly changing with new requirements, formats, new acronyms are introduced. And for example, in Europe, companies need to follow VIDA, VAT in the digital age. This requires technical expertise in formats, an understanding of the e-invoicing infrastructure, financial process knowledge, and even tax expertise. One of the challenges is to state there is no single standard out there, no single answer to solve e-invoicing regulation in different countries. All countries are inventing the wheel all the time again. They are introducing different mandate schedules that keep changing constantly. On this page, we have grouped the different models available nowadays into 5 different categories. Each category is distinct, and we have focused on highlighting their main differences. The complexity increases from an interoperability model, which is, for example, currently used in the Nordic countries, to a decentralized CTC and exchange model, which is going to be used, for example, in France. And like we can see, there is a certain type of protectionism in the air. So different countries, they want to keep this in their own hands. And this makes the life of a multi-country company really, really difficult. So what are the best practices for implementing then compliant e-invoicing? First of all, you need to increase the understanding of these regulations and research and stay updated on the current state and changes coming up with different introductions by different countries. Make compliance monitoring part of your process. You can use different type of tools to automate the monitoring, follow-up, and compliance in different countries. Adapt to standards, so use standardized invoice formats, and especially standardized invoice content. for example, in Europe, it is really important to follow the EN semantic data model, EN 16931 model, which is ensuring the minimum data set for compliant e-invoicing in different European countries. Invest in scalable technology, so make sure your service provider is scalable and can adapt the future regulatory changes and make sure your business growth is supported. And the integration to all of your backend systems, ERPs, accounting, AP process needs to be there. For example, the tax reporting, which is coming up in different countries, most likely is not managed directly from your ERP. There needs to be accounting integration as well. Plan for cross-border transactions. So prepare yourself that invoicing is not just local, it is also cross-border and will start increasing all the time. And the really important part is to engage with all of your business partners. First of all, with your suppliers, start mandating electronic invoices from your suppliers and serve your customers with rich data which serves their business. And train your team. Make sure they have enough competence to follow up all of these changes. And your IT team is also following these multiple tasks which will come within the upcoming years. Good. I guess we had a second poll then.
Well, just before we go on to that, gents, I just want to make a comment about this slide. It's really interesting because almost every single one of the items on this slide could be classified as going into the too difficult bucket. These are not easy problems to solve. They require an awful lot of time and investment and resources, and that is where I think some of the new technologies are really going to help. As these new rules emerge around environmental and sustainability and ESG that we're going to go on and talk about, but more complexity in terms of invoice compliance and legal compliance, you're going to have to find some way to deal with all of these problems, possibly at times when resources are becoming more scarce for you, and that you aren't able to add more people to the team. The idea is that AI-powered systems can monitor a lot of these changes and a lot of the changing standards, and to flag those changes, saving time that you might previously spend doing manual research, and ensuring that critical changes and updates aren't missed. One thing that we're already seeing AI being incredibly useful for is in the areas of identifying contracts where there are risks. With organizations that can have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of live contracts at any one point, as international laws and regulations change, it can be very time consuming to identify which of those contracts need to be amended or represent new types of risk because of the changes in law. AI is able to drive through those contracts and identify risk-related clauses in seconds, when it would previously take teams of people weeks to do. So we're seeing a real step forward in efficiency, making some of these very difficult but very important steps in the process of how to get on board with all the compliance actually much more achievable. The adaptability that it will give you will be second to none. So it not only streamlines compliance, but will empower your business to respond more effectively as changes come along, and they certainly will. So sorry for the interruption there. I just wanted to share that thought. Thank you, Sami.
That was good. That was valuable, definitely. Let's move on to our second poll. how does your organization currently handle e-invoice compliance across different regions? And let me launch it here. So the options are, we have a centralized solution for global compliance. We rely on local and regional compliance solutions. We manage compliance manually, or you have not started yet. The poll is open. Please give your input. Still, we could need a few more answers. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and we are done. And let's see the results. Okay. Many of you have a centralized solution in place already. That's excellent. But then there are many of you who are still doing this in a very manual way. Heikki, any comments on these findings?
Yeah, it's sort of surprisingly looking good that many of the companies are looking at this from the central point of view. And it is, of course, starting from the fact how company operates. And do they have a shared service center, or do they? How are they looking at this topic from the group level? And how is the sort of the current technical setup done? But it is what I have seen in several years. There was always like a big announcement that we have invented this new XML format, which is the guiding standard for e-invoicing, and just plug in and you can start using the system. And next year or a couple of years after that, somebody introduces a new format, new standard. So new standards are popping up all the time, and what is sure, as Paul already said, that so what is guaranteed is that there will always be change, and you need to be aware and keep your eyes open.
Indeed. Good. Moving forward, I believe it is then the sustainability trend as the next one.
Heikki, would you like me to take this up first?
Yeah, so I of course can say a couple of words about this. So about the sustainability, so we already were talking about the fact that now in Europe ESG reports are coming mandatory, and many of the companies, they start to dig into the topic. We have just lately been discussing with several CFOs about this topic, and what they feel is the biggest challenge is the data collection. So how to gather the data in one place, how to understand the requirements for the data, and how to make all of our plans towards the first report, which needs to be sent out in the beginning of 26. So how would you guide these companies, Paul, for example, with this ESG reporting task?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record that just keeps repeating, but definitely ESG, it's a huge spectrum. it's very easy to say 3 letters, right? But it covers a huge spectrum of impact and operational responsibility and legacy in the world. But it's definitely one of those very difficult problems that organizations have to solve, because it isn't main line of business, or it hasn't been main line of business. It needs to become main line of business, managing and reporting on your ESG impacts. But companies now need to address these challenges with the resources that they've got, and without diverting all of those resources from the main line of business and dealing with things like invoice compliance and so on, to have to then deal with a completely new domain. So the approach that we've developed is to help companies achieve those goals by providing a combination of expertise and technology. What we do is we support our customers through 3 phases: strategy, development, execution, and reporting. And we've developed a 4-phase model, which we have on the slide here, which comprises vision, measure, action, and report, which is specifically designed to deliver measurable actual results. There is a software component to this, which we call GEP Green, and that's what manages the data acquisition and collation and analysis. It records the baseline and creates the baseline for whatever metric is important to the organization, and it's the workspace that we use in which to develop those strategies for sustainability and compliance. One key focus for many companies, for example, is addressing Scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions, which stem from their deep supply chain activities and are amongst the hardest things to manage in the business sphere. With analytics and supplier segmentation methods, what we do is we help identify emission hotspots, assess risk, and implement reduction strategies. But that's just one part of it. Beyond emissions, we help our companies promote circular economy principles, reducing waste, encouraging the use of sustainable materials, supporting zero waste goals, eliminating child labor, and so on. This approach aligns with businesses and brings them into coherence with the regulatory requirements and the stakeholder expectations, whilst minimizing the environmental impact. And it's done, as you said, through the organization of data. And that is what fundamentally is at the basis of delivering results. In the areas of social responsibility, we help organizations by developing supplier diversity and inclusion programs. We create tailored roadmaps that help the businesses enhance their engagement with suppliers and with communities and measure the impact as they do so. We also support the integration of ESG metrics into supply chain operations. What that means is that whenever there is a decision point at any part of a supply process, even if it's down to should I buy this or should I buy that for the office, what we're able to do is integrate the environmental impact, the ESG impact of that decision into the tools that you're using to make that choice. And the aim is to provide you with the insights and strategies you need to navigate regulatory changes, to drive sustainability, to support social impact, but to still do the day job in fundamentally exactly the same way as you should, to make, if you like, the correct path, the path you should be on, the easiest path to walk. And that's done through integrating the data into the workplace, but also providing the expertise, the understanding to be able to adapt the processes and adapt the decision making according to this new information and the new intelligence. So it's that idea of these steps of having the vision, understanding where you want to get to, working out how to measure where you are now and measure the changes over time, making changes, putting some actions in place, making some specific changes to processes, to practices, to supplier relationships, and then reporting those within all the various different legal frameworks that are required.
Really interesting, and I guess, Paul, this is even more challenging with the companies having big supply chain processes, or within the manufacturing or retail businesses, then it might of course, and especially if you have international company operating in multiple countries, that it would become much more difficult as well.
It's phenomenally difficult, and if you look at it as a single problem to solve, it seems completely insoluble. It is very complex and runs very, very deep into multiple levels. But what we've tried to do, and in partnership with our customers and inspired by many of our customers who are really taking ownership in this space, is to work out a way in which you can make incremental changes. You don't have to fix the whole problem. You don't have to boil the ocean, as the phrase goes. You just have to be able to start a process, make small changes, incremental changes, but changes which stick, changes which are long term, and that way you can use that as a basis for growth and a basis for gradually moving towards a much better future.
Exactly. Yeah. Good. All right. Let's move forward. We have still a couple of topics within the agenda. So we have now seen all of the podium winners, and we have been looking at sustainability, compliance, AI, and automation. So how should you use these tools to improve your digital transformation projects? First of all, of course, every single company has their mission, vision, and values. It sets its KPIs to measure its business against those targets. And the business needs to improve, gain market share, or just be more efficient in the constant competition. Digital transformation should serve these targets as well, whether using digital processes that are more efficient or more competitive. And when looking at this type of a journey, so the journey typically starts by identifying development areas, and it ends up maximizing ROI. One simple example is when you are trying to get already earlier mentioned cost savings in your accounts payable process. You need to slice and dice the process in different steps. You need to make sure that you are getting electronic invoices from your suppliers. And you need to make sure your software is capable of matching most of your invoices and optimize the usage of AI. This is how you are able to start getting efficiency, cost savings, and getting value from your investments. There are, of course, multiple examples, but the time is flying. We need to go forward with the final section of our presentation. So, of course, I would guess many of the existing customers joining this call. Really interesting topic is that now Opus Capita is part of GP, and we have now had this journey for 6 months and have already identified great synergies for our existing and new customers. For those of which have not been part of Opus Capita so far, just a couple of words about us. So we, of course, we have been over 30 years out there in the market, being pioneering with e-invoicing and financial automation solutions. And already beginning of 2000, we have been providing both procurement and AP automation solutions to our customers. And we have had many steps in our journey. And now the latest step is that we became part of GEP. So it's really exciting to be here and to look at the joint cooperation with GEP and to be able to unify one of course the biggest challenge, or one challenge we have always identified within our customer base, is that the procurement and financial departments are in silos. So our joint mission is to unify the story and use the data for automating processes both in procurement and financial processes. And maybe Paul, you could continue from here.
Sure. I mean, I don't want to talk a huge amount about GEP as a company. That's of no interest to anybody. But what I want to talk about with respect to our organization and how we approach the issues that our customers are facing goes back to what you were saying about digital transformation. Again, it's one of those phrases that maybe some of the folks watching this are just like, oh, they're talking about digital transformation again. We've been promised digital transformation for years, but we've yet to see any benefits from it. Like many phrases in the business world, digital transformation has been hijacked to mean, please buy our software. The thing about software and the thing about digital transformation is that they're not the same thing at all. Buying software transforms nothing other than the bottom line on your IT P&L accounts. Software is just a tool set. Digital transformation comes from what you do with the software, whether or not you can actually be more effective, create more value, have better outcomes as a result of digitizing, of using new technology tools. And for a lot of companies, for many years, that hasn't been the case. In fact, anecdotal evidence suggests that implementing new systems can actually critically slow down certain vital processes, because people have been able to find workarounds using spreadsheets and email and whatever in the past, and bringing a new all singing, all dancing system in for them doesn't necessarily make them more productive. What makes organizations more productive is having a holistic approach. So this is what we do at GEP. We're not just a software company. We are a software company. We're first and foremost a software company, but we're not just a software company. We are a solutions provider in the genuine sense. So it really doesn't matter in many ways whether a customer comes to market saying we need some new technology, or we need somebody to help us restructure this particular process, or we need to hand over an entire category of operations to a third party. What we do with our customers is sit down and work out what the solution to the problem should look like and implement that solution, which can involve technology, it can involve people, it can involve both, or it can involve neither. It's really down to the individual use cases. So one of the exciting things for us about welcoming Opus Capita into the GEP family, as we like to think of it, is that it adds a completely new dimension to those solutions that we've previously been unable to offer. And it simply completes a picture for us. It allows us to deal far more with some of these emerging, really difficult problems, and to bring that into an overall solution set that makes sense for large, complex companies who are dealing with everything from environmental impact to invoice compliance to the emergence of AI to the prospect of global tariffs to changing landscapes, vulnerability, uncertainty, and all of that. That is, if you like, our sweet spot, all that area of complexity. So, I just wanted to make sure that everyone here was aware of these kind of things that we do. And we don't talk about digital transformation in the sense of please buy our software. It is how can you use technology, because you must use technology. Nothing happens other than in technology these days, but how can you use technology most effectively to deliver your outcomes? We hope it's our technology, but it doesn't have to be. That's very much the position from GEP. So for those of you who didn't know us, thank you very much for listening to that little bit, and I'll hand you back to Heikki to wrap up.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Okay, so as a final page here, so and sort of wrapping up a little bit the joint value to our customers now. So first of all, we definitely see that we are now capable of offering our customers global reach with the local expertise. We will be a partner for global e-invoicing compliance in both accounts receivable and accounts payable processes. By the end of next year, our target is to be compliant in more than 70 countries globally. With our updated GP portfolio, we are your local partner for end-to-end source pay capabilities. We offer the most advanced AI and automation processes for efficient digital transformation management. As a privately held company, we are providing long-term partnerships to our customers with focus on innovation. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Heikki. Thank you, Paul, for this insightful discussion. A lot of valuable insights on the trends. Maybe one more slide to go with. If you like the story, there is an opportunity to continue. So we are participating GEP Europe tour early next year. A few cities here mentioned in our region, in DACH region and Nordics. Please register, join these events, and we'll continue the dialogue there. Thank you very much for participating. You will receive the recording afterwards. Have a great day and great week. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.